I bought, if my wife is watching, an appropriate amount of attachments for this video, which is all of them. I've got the most popular options, expensive ones, and their knockoff variations, ones you've probably never heard of, and today we're ranking the best and the worst of them, and at the end we'll cover a few unique ones. Clearly there's a lot of attachments here. I've spent thousands of dollars over the years collecting, swapping, and testing them. So to the 6 people in the comments about to complain I didn't cover their favorite, it's impossible to fit the well over 100 unique attachments I've got here and the hundreds of others I've tested over the years into one video. I tried, but my wife said nobody wants to watch a 45-minute video on attachments, so I've worked really hard to make this more concise for you. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe because it was almost as much work as it was expensive. If you want to see a more detailed breakdown on any of the categories we covered today, let me know and I'll make that happen. Let's start with D handles, the first attachment pretty much anyone's going to get. It's an essential because you can do so much with them. Classic examples being flies, various delt raises, of course there's rows, you can press with them, and it's not a cable attachment if you can't curl with it, right? I wonder if I really could curl with all these attachments in here. One of the things you're going to notice with a lot of these attachments is they kind of blur the lines of what you can do with them. So Prime's rotate handles aren't really D handles, but that doesn't mean I can't do flies with them. A D handle is just a handle shaped like the letter D. The worst one I've seen is from Fringe Sport. That's upside down, but it does say Fringe Sport. It's got a few things going against it. So the handle is tiny, so no matter how I use this thing, it's rubbing on my wrists and arms. And with these on here pretty loosely, it does rotate, but as I tighten them down like it's supposed to be, you'll see what happens. It just kind of gets bound up on itself as it's rotating. Really, this thing is just a disaster. A step up from there is those cheap plastic handles with rubber grips that often get thrown in with budget equipment. When they're free, I don't really mind them. But this one from Beyond Power, these cost $40 each, which is absurd when you consider the fact that a Voltra costs $2,200 and doesn't even come with one. But I guess at least it rotates, even if it feels cheap and these rubber grips kind of suck. From there, I'm putting stirrup handles, which just means this is made from metal rather than it being a nylon strap. These ones are from Body Solid, and honestly, they're some of the better made ones out there. The build quality is great. They rotate on bronze bushings, so they're super smooth. They're aluminum, so they're lightweight. And since we have an actual metal handle, we've got real knurling. Sounds pretty great, right? And they can be, but as you do a pressing or fly type movement, you'll see, this is not me fake grimacing, they are really uncomfortable because they can dig into your wrist, making almost all stirrup handles pretty uncomfortable to use. But what about the best D handles? Well, we've got a few of those as well. These are Prime's CAS handles, and they're designed to be used like regular D handles. The first thing you probably noticed about them is, well, their size. These are the smalls, by the way, and are the ones that we use most often. But their diameter and cone shape makes them feel fantastic for pressing movements, and that ergonomic shape fits your hand better than anything else out there. But what's really cool about them is if I unclip one side, now I've got a really good ISO handle for tricep extensions. Now in this side, I flipped the whole thing around and clipped in the other side, and you would do that for hammer curls. You don't have to flip the thing around, but one thing I will say about this, as I get real heavy in hammer curls, this lip here tends to really dig into my hand, and it's Prime, so they're kind of expensive, but code Gluck does save you 5% over there. Actually, code Gluck saves you money in a lot of places, so just type it in on every website. Try it at the grocery store. Okay, I don't have an affiliate at the grocery store, nor do I with a lot of the companies we're covering today, but by using our links at the places I do have affiliates, you'll be directly supporting the channel. All right, up until this point, everything's had some trade-offs, but what if you could build your own handle? Well, Rogue allows you to do just that. I've got a few of their handles. They have different diameters to choose from. You can get stainless steel, aluminum, and pick from a bunch of different colors. These were my favorite D handles even before you could customize them because they rotate on bushings, so they spin smoothly. They feature Rogue's build quality, so they'll literally last forever. These are the gold standard for traditional D handles. But there is one I like even better. My track handle sports are probably my most used cable attachment. Let that sink in. What makes them special is not only does the handle rotate, but they can spin and also rotate here. So no matter how you use them or how you move, they move with you. I love these because they move naturally with you. There's no restrictions, but what really sold me on them was the first time my wife used them, she instantly understood what I meant by emphasizing different heads of the delt on raises because she could see how her arm was rotating. They're also light and low profile, so there's really no rubbing on your arms there. Now, some people might not like the rubber grips, but I do, and if that really bothers you, you can get some 3D printed knurled ones from Darko or go real crazy and get some stainless steel ones from JD Gym Equipped. Track handle sports aren't cheap, but the best typically isn't. If you thought we had a lot to choose from before, tricep attachments are probably more diverse than you'd think, and everybody's got their own personal preference. Some people like long ropes or yoga straps. Kodo gi grips are really cool, or maybe you like ergonomic handles. But you know which ones we can all agree suck? Any tricep rope with a hard plastic ball end, unless you really enjoy crushing your fingers, and this pile of crap from Rogue. Don't get me wrong, it's more comfortable than hard plastic with this cheap foam sewn in here, but it doesn't outperform any of the really cheap ones on Amazon. The best tricep rope or strap I've ever seen is the Belt Fed Strength accessory strap. It's handmade in a small veteran-owned shop in Tennessee. It's comfortable no matter how you grip it. The build quality is absurd, and I would easily put it in my top 5 cable attachments of all time. If you're looking to do unilateral work, there's ropes, straps, and handles, but I tend to avoid longer handles like this. These ones are from Rep Fitness, and my issue with them, if I'm trying to do a hammer curl or a tricep push down, they can apply a lot of torque to your wrist because the attachment point is way out here. Now you can choke up on them, but you lose the support of the ball end, and now you're entirely reliant on your grip strength and the knurling, which is where the Porter Eclipse grips comes in. So these are much shorter, so they're gonna apply a lot less torque to my wrists. You can see they spin and have a thick grip with a really nice knurling. It's grippy, but not sharp, and it even has some padding on the bottom. They're comfortable and well made, and I think for most people are probably the best ISO option on the market. My favorite ISO handle is actually in my top 3 next to the track handles and belt fed accessory strap in how much I use them and how much I like them. And that's the Strong Grips from Egg Weights. Yeah, I know what they look like, but they add absolutely no stress to my wrists because you hold up next to the swivel. That's the idea of them. They fit in the palm of your hand, so they're comfortable and a very versatile option. I use them constantly for a wide variety of exercises, and they're much more comfortable than just holding the cable end. Are they a little excessive? Maybe, but they can spin and even be linked together with the included strap. If you're looking for push-down attachments, how am I going to carry all these? I guess I'm not. This one's from Body Solid, that's Rep Fitness, there's Rogue, and that's JD Gym Equipped. It's incredibly well done, but very expensive, and I'd probably rank them in that order. But I prefer and recommend ones that actually rotate, at least for most people. So this one's from American Barbell, and as you'll see, as I push down, it rotates with me, keeping me in a more natural pressing movement pattern and applying less stress to my wrists. But if I nitpicked, I wish the handle diameter was thicker so it distributed the weight better as you're pressing heavy weights and that the knurling wasn't so passive. Enter Bolt's version. We've got thicker handles and grippier knurling, although no ball end, and Bolt's not exactly known for their customer service. Either way, none of them come close to Force 6's Tricep pushdown. So you've still got the swivel up top. It rotates on bearings, so it's insanely smooth, thick grips. You've got a great knurling and an absurd build quality. Its coolest feature might be, though, that you can pull this mag pin out and then stick it here. Now you've locked the rotation and you've got that old school Tricep pushdown experience. But my favorite thing about it is that these large flanges are the most comfortable thing I've felt on a handle. Even if you load this thing up with weight for curls, they don't really put any pressure on your hands. Just don't look at the price. It is a phenomenal piece, but you could buy Bolts and American barbells instead of this and still have some money left over. You want to talk about options? Let's talk about attachments that will grow your back so big that your neighbors will look down and away in shame as you walk past. The only ones I'd think of as bad are anything that's so heavy that as you attach them overhead, the threat of them knocking you unconscious far outweighs any potential gains you'll get. Think Bells of Steel's arch nemesis or Rogue's older, now discontinued multi-grip attachment. Somewhere along the way, though, somebody discovered this wild new material that makes things lighter: aluminum. So now we've got lighter attachments, the ability to place the handles wherever they're comfortable to you, built-in landmines, and even various sizes and configurations to choose from. Now, these are great attachments, but not ones I use very often. When it comes to heavy pulls, I almost always use some type of mag grip. So these are actual mag grips. The originals, they're made in America. Everything else here is just a knockoff. Well, except for primes. The appeal here is they come in various configurations. I can go wide or narrow, use a supinated, pronated, or neutral grip, and these wide paddle style handles essentially take your grip strength out of the equation. Your back will tire out before your hands do. So versus a traditional grip style attachment where you're relying on the knurling or your grip strength, here, this wide paddle distributes the weight better, and the ergonomic shape makes them much more comfortable. The problem is actual mag grips are expensive. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that the copycats are just as good as these are. They're not, and I say that having no affiliation with mag. These things are great. They're what I defend myself with in a zombie apocalypse. But I could get an entire set of 7 of these Blue Slims for the same cost of 2 mag grips, and the Blue Slims are pretty good. If you want to take that paddle idea to another level, you can look at Prime's rotate handles. As the name suggests, they rotate and are used for unilateral movements. So I've found them to work really well for tricep pushdowns. This feels great. You do have to get used to it a little bit, but I really like it for this movement. I showed you flies earlier. The only issue there is, depending how you have it set up, you may get some rubbing here. And of course, the only exercise that actually matters, oh yeah, they work great for curls too. Of course, you can use them for rows and pulls and all sorts of other movements, and they're one of my favorite cable attachments. Being made in the US by Prime though, they're not exactly a budget attachment, but if you can put your morals aside for a second, you could look at the Amazon copies. They're, well, clearly they bought a pair of Primes and copied them as closely as they could. It's a very well done ripoff. I always support the original creator when I'm able to, because without them, these wouldn't exist and nothing would ever evolve. But I understand not everybody's got the means. Now, the best lap bar on the market, hands down, is Rogue's stainless steel lap bar. I've used dozens and nothing comes close. The knurling, the finish, the build quality, it's perfect, but it's boring because I've been talking about this same thing for years, and what kind of trendy influencer would I be if I didn't talk about something new. So this is Mutant Metal's arc attachment. And what's special about it isn't all the customization options. You can get it with different angles, add a landmine, change the length, material, and color of the handles, or even add flanges to the end. But I also figured out you can get a 1/2-inch coarse thread eye bolt and then just thread it into the handle. Might want to get one with a little shorter threads than me, but I just had this hanging around. And now I've got a pretty good ISO handle. But if I put one in each side, so on both handles, I can use the arc to combine my stacks. Obviously not its intended purpose, but it is a really good lat pull down and straight bar too. The thick grips feel great and rogue knurling is always fantastic. I'd love to see them make a version where this is more of a universal style hub, so then maybe you could change the angles on it or swap out handles to make it more of like an easy curl bar or whatever. But with them building out an ecosystem with the V-grip, I wonder if they're already cooking something up. It can get pretty heavy if you're using the steel handles from the Ultimate dip attachment in here rather than the aluminum ones I got. But outside of that, and the fact that it's a little expensive, I think it's a very well done attachment. Listen, that's just scratching the surface of all the back attachments out there. There's the entire Darko series. I've got some wild stuff from Black Widow, and the list goes on. So let me know if you want to see a more detailed breakdown. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, curl attachments, because it's not like we couldn't curl with most of the stuff we've already talked about. To me, a bad curl attachment is just one that puts unnecessary strain on your joints. So there's nothing wrong with curling with a straight bar if it's comfortable to you, but for many people over time, it puts extra stress on their wrists, elbows, and even shoulders, which is where Rogue's Easy Cable Curl Bar comes in. The deep bends and the placement of them, meaning the width, put my hands in a more natural position so I can lift heavier and more often. I've had a lot of cable curl bars over the years and I've yet to find a better one. This is my favorite. If you want to get a little bit crazier, you can look at the VTX Supra Bar. So the idea here is you can put your hands in whatever positions most comfortable for you. Maybe you want to do hammer curls or supinate throughout the movement, and you can even do Zotman curls. Or use it for press downs. It's a fairly versatile bar, if not a little extra, but then again, so is this entire video. And it's a fun bar to have. It can be a little difficult to find though because Troy doesn't have a great distribution system. If you want to get wild, you can check out the BT Savage Bar. So this is handmade in the UK. You can see these supports right here. They're gonna sit on my forearms, and the idea there is they take a little bit of load off your wrists, which can help reduce the stress on your wrists and elbows. And if you're somebody who has issues curling, maybe it's uncomfortable, or you have grip strength issues, it can help there too. The BT bar can also be used for press downs and some other movements and works really well for lat prayers because, like with curls, it simplifies the movement some by taking your wrist out of the equation. The newer version has upgraded padding because this is kind of lacking, and I should say I have no affiliation with Savage Strength. I do not make a dime if you buy this, nor am I going to argue you need even a fraction of the stuff we've talked about today, but it is another attachment I really like. Bringing us to some of the more unique cable attachments out there. Technically, the first one is a modular barbell, but I use it most often as a cable attachment, and that's the cup. I can change the grip width, the bar length, and use it for all types of barbell movements. Think of it kind of like the Supra Bar, but on steroids. So the handle spins so you can set them wherever you'd like for curls, rows, pulls, or whatever. You can supinate or pronate your grip and even add band resistance. So there's different bands and their color correlate to the amount of resistance they're going to add, and as you rotate through the movement, you add resistance to that rotation. This thing will torch your forearms and biceps. The issue is, this is the modular version, and it's heavy and pricey for a cable attachment. The light is, well, much lighter and a little more affordable. You can't change the grip width with it or add the sleeves on, but I don't really use it much for those things anyway. This is Rogue's TR-D2 Tricep Dual Cable Attachment, and I like the name about as much as I like it. I think we can build a better one. The idea here is I can use this for a tricep push down, but as you can see, it's applying some torque to my wrist. I can also alternate my arms, which is kind of cool. And if I hoist this thing 3 miles into the air and then maybe crouch down a little bit, I can even do one arm at a time. It does work pretty well if you do it this way. And I will say it is a pretty cool concept, but it's not like it's a brand new idea. Most of you have probably seen the dually. Also, if I drop this thing down as low as I can and do curls with it, it's really uncomfortable on my hands. So let's build a better one. And I gotta give credit where it's due. I watched Kaizen build one of these things and thought he did a really good job. So check out his video if you want to see more build options. I got this pulley off F&F Steel. You can get cheaper ones on Amazon though. This cable is from a company called Full Circle Padding. It's 3/16 thick and 28 inches long. It's pretty expensive though, so I'd probably just use climbing rope like Kaizen does. And now I can just clip in any handle or attachment I want onto this thing. That's kind of sick. It's a lot of fun to play around with and pretty versatile since I can change out any of the components as I see fit. My build is expensive, but I use these parts for other things as well. Now, this is just scratching the surface of the attachments I've got here. So if you want to see more videos like this, let me know. Thank you so much to our Patreons. If not for you, I would have quit this channel a long time ago, and I mean that, and thanks for watching.